The observatory recorded 42 distinct pairs of Jupiter-mass binary objects, drifting freely through the stellar nursery without a parent star. The hard data dictates they possess roughly the mass of Jupiter, yet they orbit absolutely nothing. According to foundational core accretion models, an interstellar gas cloud cannot spontaneously collapse into a body this small without a host star. Furthermore, if these massive objects were violently ejected from a star system by gravitational turbulence, orbital mechanics mandate they should be thrown out as single, chaotic bodies. Finding them drifting as perfectly bound binary pairs mathematically breaks the ejection model. Humanity spent centuries charting the clockwork orbits of our solar system to establish how planets form. The universe responded by showcasing dozens of massive worlds that bypassed the necessity of a sun entirely. Two spheres of swirling gas, each containing enough volume to swallow 1,300 Earths, drift in complete darkness, bound only by their mutual gravity. If your physical body were placed between them, the freezing silence of the void would kill you long before you could witness them slowly circling each other in the dark. Theorists proposed a completely undocumented mini-collapse mechanism within the nebula, or an ejection scenario where the binary bond inexplicably survives extreme gravitational slingshots. No model can fully account for the statistical volume and absolute stability of these surviving pairs. The anomaly directly shatters our understanding of the gene's mass limit, the theoretical threshold required for a cloud of interstellar dust to collapse under its own gravity. The universe is manufacturing things that our physics dictates should not exist, and our physics is losing. The mathematics we use to explain our own planetary origins are strictly a localized, fragile illusion. There is an undocumented assembly line operating in the dark, creating massive worlds in total defiance of human equations. We live on an insignificant rock, believing we understand how it was made, while the cosmos silently proves we do not even understand how a planet is born. The cosmological principle strictly dictates that the universe must be homogeneous and uniform on a massive scale. Because the cosmos has only expanded for 13.8 billion years, our mathematics places a hard, absolute maximum size limit on any clustered structure of matter, 1.2 billion light-years across. No physical formation is permitted to grow beyond this boundary. Yet, the hard data, derived from mapping the light absorption of distant quasars, revealed the Big Ring, a perfectly circular formation of galaxies located 9.2 billion light-years away. It possesses a staggering diameter of 1.3 billion light-years and a circumference touching 4 billion light-years. It clearly and inexplicably eclipses the theoretical maximum size limit allowed by the age of reality itself. Human cosmologists arrogantly decreed an absolute mathematical boundary on how large galactic structures could grow, and the universe responded by casually displaying a ring of matter so massive it would take light itself 4 billion years just to run a single lap around it. It is a continuous halo of thousands of galaxies, so immensely vast that if our entire Milky Way were placed inside it, our home galaxy would appear as a single grain of sand, resting completely alone inside an empty Olympic stadium. Some scientists attempt to dismiss this as a random alignment of unassociated galaxies. Others desperately rely on conformal cyclic cosmology, proposing the ring is a permanent scar left over from a previous, long-dead universe. No model fully accounts for the statistical impossibility of such a perfect geometric shape forming purely by chance. The physical structure directly proves that baryon acoustic oscillations, the primordial sound waves generated shortly after the Big Bang responsible for clustering matter, cannot be the only mechanism organizing the architecture of space. The universe is not smooth, and it is not uniform. Our foundational assumption that the cosmos looks the same in every direction is nothing more than a localized delusion. We are trying to chart a terrifyingly complex geometric ocean by locking ourselves away and analyzing a single drop of water. Our mathematics is just dust breaking apart against the true scale of the dark. Wide binaries are stellar systems, where two stars orbit each other at immense distances, often separated by thousands of astronomical units. Because of this vast physical isolation, their mutual orbital acceleration is extraordinarily weak. The European Space Agency launched the Gaia satellite to map the precise kinematic structure of the Milky Way, utilizing Einstein's field equations as an absolute, unquestionable baseline for how matter should move. The hard data returned from that mission revealed a strict, catastrophic breaking point in our understanding of nature. When the gravitational acceleration drops below a microscopic threshold of just 1/10 billionth of a meter per second squared, the stars definitively stop obeying Newtonian dynamics. Instead of the gravitational pull weakening gracefully, as predicted by the inverse square law, the observed acceleration is artificially boosted by up to 40%. General relativity has successfully predicted the geometry of supermassive black holes and the accelerating expansion of the entire cosmos. Yet, it completely falls apart when applied to two ordinary stars simply orbiting a bit too far away from each other. An invisible tether connects two massive suns across a freezing void so vast that light takes weeks to cross it, pulling them together with a phantom strength that possesses no physical source. If your physical body were deposited in the exact center of this gravitational gulf, the sheer emptiness would freeze the water in your cells centuries before the nearest stellar wind could ever reach you. Some astrophysicists desperately attempt to attribute the extra pull to unseen third companion stars. Others suggest this is the first undeniable proof of modified Newtonian dynamics. No single theoretical framework fully accounts for the sheer statistical consistency of this gravitational boost across tens of thousands of isolated, unperturbed systems. This anomaly directly assaults the core assumption that the laws of gravity are universal, constant, and scale invariant. The mathematics we rely on to dictate the attraction between all matter in existence spontaneously rewrites its own rules when the void becomes too quiet. The universe is manufacturing gravity out of empty space, and our physics cannot explain why. If gravity inherently modifies and strengthens itself at extremely low accelerations, the entire foundation of modern astrophysics is irrevocably compromised. Dark matter, the invisible substance we specifically invented to explain the extra gravitational glue holding entire galaxies together, might be completely unnecessary. We spent decades mapping a hidden realm of invisible particles, pouring billions of dollars into underground detectors, only to realize our foundational equations might simply be wrong. Our greatest cosmological models might be nothing more than a localized mathematical hallucination. For decades, the undisputed champion of astrophysics was the cold dark matter model. It explicitly dictated that this mysterious substance is fundamentally collisionless. The theoretical equations suggested it completely ignores its own existence, interacting with the physical universe exclusively through the gentle, cumulative pull of gravity. Human science built an entire cosmological framework on the arrogant assumption that 85% of the matter in the universe was perfectly inert, ignoring the terrifying possibility that the dark sector could possess its own violent chemistry hidden from our eyes. We visualize dark matter as a smooth, diffuse, and passive mist that harmlessly permeated space to hold our galaxy together. Researchers analyzing high-resolution gravitational lensing and the fractured paths of ancient stellar streams in the Milky Way's halo uncovered a violent discrepancy. The hard data revealed that dark matter particles are actively colliding, exchanging momentum, and interacting with each other. This self-interacting material is not a diffuse mist. It is aggressively clumping together into ultra-dense, localized boulders possessing masses up to 1 million times that of our Sunday. These invisible leviathans are actively tearing through the galaxy, severely bending ancient light and physically shattering delicate streams of stars that had previously survived undisturbed for billions of years. An unseeable sphere of mass, weighing 1 million suns, plows violently through the galactic plane, leaving nothing but bent photons and fractured orbital trajectories in its wake. If one of these invisible structures were to intersect with our solar system, you would witness absolutely nothing in the night sky, as its overwhelming gravitational wake silently ripped the Earth away from the sun, condemning your physical body to freeze to death in the deep dark. Defenders of the old cosmological models desperately attempt to attribute these shattered star streams to the gravitational interference of regular baryonic matter, proposing the existence of roaming rogue black holes. No established framework fully accounts for the specific, highly concentrated gravitational lensing signatures that perfectly match the calculated cross-section of self-interacting dark matter clumps. The physical observation introduces a completely new, undocumented fundamental force of nature. This is a dark force that only affects the dark sector, allowing these invisible particles to physically bind together and build mass. If this substance can interact with itself, it fundamentally destroys our simplistic view of the cosmos. There is an entire dark standard model waiting in the shadows. The mathematics does not forbid the existence of dark atoms, complex dark chemistry, or immense dark structures surrounding us at this exact moment, occupying the exact same physical space as our world without ever registering on our instruments. We are completely blind, floating in a universe governed by a violent architecture we cannot even see. The parameter known as $S, $8, measures the sheer clumpiness of matter in the cosmos, acting as a strict mathematical metric for how aggressively gravity has pulled galaxies together into dense, web-like structures over 13.8 billion years. Based on highly precise measurements of the cosmic microwave background, the primordial thermal afterglow of the Big Bang, the Planck satellite perfectly predicted how deeply clustered the modern universe should be. Cosmologists treated this mathematical baseline as an absolute certainty. However, when astronomers physically measured the actual clustering of 100 million nearby galaxies using weak gravitational lensing, tracking how their collective mass microscopically bends passing light, the hard data was utterly devastating. The modern universe is exactly 8% smoother and less clustered than Einstein's general relativity and the standard model predicted it must be. We possess the most advanced supercomputers on Earth, utilizing them to meticulously simulate the growth of the cosmic web from the fiery dawn of time to the present epoch. Humanity relied on those machines, only to realize our infallible equations overestimated the universe's ability to build physical structures by nearly a tenth. The ancient light from the beginning of time promised a heavily clustered, aggressively expanding cosmic web. The physical observation of the local universe revealed a cosmic structure that is inexplicably sluggish, diffuse, and lethargic. Flawless mathematical blueprints promised the construction of a sprawling, impossibly dense galactic metropolis spanning billions of light years. Arriving at the physical site 13 billion years later reveals nothing but scattered, sparse suburbs decaying in the dark void. If your physical body were thrust into the spaces between these missing structures, expecting the gravitational anchors our models guaranteed, the sheer lack of predicted galactic mass would leave you entirely adrift in a mathematically impossible wasteland. Theoretical physicists frantically search for systematic errors in telescope lenses to hide the discrepancy. Others propose the existence of exotic ultralight axions or suggest that dark matter is actively decaying into an untraceable phenomenon called dark radiation. No single theoretical explanation fully accounts for the missing 8% without breaking three other established laws of physics in the process. The undeniable tension in the $S, $8 parameter directly proves that the gravitational pull responsible for clustering dark matter and regular matter is mysteriously losing its strength as the universe ages. Gravity is inexplicably weakening on a macro scale. There is an entirely unknown, invisible force currently operating in the deepest vacuum of space that is actively smoothing out the universe. It is fighting directly against the pull of gravity, systematically dismantling the cosmic web before it can fully form. And we have absolutely zero equations to identify it. The universe is quietly erasing its own architecture, and our physics is powerless to stop it. If the fundamental force of gravity is actively losing its grip on matter across billions of light years, every projection we have regarding the future of the cosmos is fatally flawed. We arrogantly assumed gravity was an eternal, immortal architect building the ultimate structure of reality. The measured data reveals it is a fading force, slowly surrendering its territory to a completely undocumented mechanism of cosmic dilution. We are floating inside a decaying geometric void that is actively refusing to build the future our mathematics demanded. The standard model of cosmology firmly relies on the fundamental principle of symmetry. In physics, parity symmetry explicitly dictates that the underlying laws of nature do not prefer left over right on a macro scale. If you reverse the spatial coordinates of a physical system, creating a perfect mirror image, the mechanics of the universe should behave exactly the same. When scientists mathematically connected sets of four distant galaxies to form massive tetrahedral pyramids spanning billions of light years, they expected to find absolute equilibrium. The spatial data should have reflected a neutral cosmos, yielding an exactly equal number of right-handed and left-handed twisting structures across the dark. The actual mapping violently broke the symmetry of reality. The universe exhibits a clear, undeniable preference for left-handed tetrahedral configurations. The hard data confirmed this specific geometric bias with a statistical certainty of 7 sigma. In physics, a 5 sigma result is considered the absolute gold standard for an undeniable discovery. 7 sigma means there is less than a 1 in a trillion chance that this asymmetrical distribution is a random mathematical coincidence. We spent decades constructing massive underground colliders, smashing subatomic particles together in the desperate hope of finding tiny, microscopic parity violations. Humanity was completely unaware that the cosmos had already carved a massive, asymmetrical bias into the grand architectural arrangement of a million galaxies. Cosmology foundational theories dictate that looking in any direction should yield the exact same statistical physical laws. The physical mapping of these galaxies revealed an inherent, geometric twistedness permanently embedded into the fabric of reality itself. It is a structural blueprint spanning vast segments of the observable universe, intricately folded and biased in one specific direction. The entire cosmic web is warped, as if an unfathomable force spun the fabric of space-time, the exact fraction of a second it was created. If you were suspended in the absolute vacuum between these galaxy clusters, floating perfectly still in the dark, your physical body would be occupying a spatial geometry that fundamentally favors one direction of physical spin over the other. Theoretical physicists suggest that during the microscopic fraction of a second of cosmic inflation, an entirely undocumented quantum field injected a permanent handedness into the violently expanding universe. No existing framework fully accounts for what that specific field was, or how its localized mathematical influence miraculously survived the chaotic, explosive expansion of the Big Bang without being completely smoothed out. This physical anomaly directly threatens the cosmological principle and aggressively hints at unknown quantum forces that operated before the formation of physical matter. We are living in a fundamentally lopsided reality. The mathematics we proudly use to assume cosmic equilibrium are fatally flawed because the universe itself is not balanced. Our physics assumes a fair coin toss, but the universe is playing with loaded dice. Every foundational equation we have written assumes a neutral playing field, willfully ignoring the terrifying reality that space-time itself is warped by a prehistoric bias. The very stage on which existence plays out is tilted. We confidently built our entire understanding of physics on the illusion of a perfect mirror, only to look deeply into the glass and realize the reflection is mathematically corrupted. The Vela pulsar is a rapidly spinning neutron star, the ultra-dense, highly magnetized collapsed corpse of a massive supernova. Standard electrodynamics states that electrons are aggressively accelerated along the pulsar's extreme magnetic field lines, producing intense beams of radiation. However, there is a strict, mathematically proven thermodynamic cutoff limit to this localized acceleration. According to our finest particle models, accelerated particles must eventually succumb to radiation reaction, safely reaching a maximum velocity and ceasing to emit photons beyond a threshold of a few hundred giga-electron volts. The actual data returned from the terrestrial sensor arrays was apocalyptic for theoretical physicists. The Vela pulsar is actively firing out photons, reaching an astounding 20 tera-electron volts. The hard data proves this dead star is continuously blasting radiation at energy levels 200 times higher than the theoretical absolute maximum limit, completely shattering the previous acceleration record held by the Crab pulsar. We construct our laws of physics to define the ultimate boundaries of magnetic particle acceleration, drawing firm lines in the sand regarding what nature is permitted to do. The corpse of a dead star casually shatters those limits by a factor of 200, effectively mocking the foundational equations written by our brightest minds. The theoretical magnetic cutoff promised a strict, unbreakable mathematical boundary for radiation safety. The physical photon strike delivered 20 tera-electron volts of brutal, completely unexplained kinetic energy directly to our atmospheric sensors. A spinning magnetic graveyard, roughly the size of a small terrestrial city, is hurling subatomic bullets across the interstellar void with enough localized kinetic force to completely redefine the city. Atomic binding limits of the observable universe. If you were suspended in the absolute vacuum near this rotating anomaly, the localized radiation would not simply incinerate you. The 20 tera-electron volt bombardment would physically dismantle the quantum bonds holding your atoms together, converting your biological matter into a diffuse spray of disconnected subatomic ash long before your nervous system could even register the heat. Astrophysicists are currently existing in a state of absolute theoretical crisis. Some researchers desperately propose that particles are somehow escaping the pulsar's immediate magnetosphere, undergoing a violent process of extreme magnetic reconnection far outside a boundary known as the light cylinder. Others suggest highly exotic inverse Compton scattering, a complex mechanism where accelerated electrons collide with ambient photons to aggressively boost their energy. No existing model fully accounts for how these specific particles break the strict thermodynamic cutoff limit without instantly bleeding off their accumulated energy via radiation reaction. The 20 tera electron-volt anomaly directly proves that our foundational equations for magnetospheric particle acceleration and electrodynamics in ultra-extreme environments are fundamentally, irreparably broken. The mathematics we rely on to dictate the transfer of energy in high magnetic fields simply does not function when exposed to the true extremes of the cosmos. If a single dead star can violate the maximum acceleration limits of particle physics by massive orders of magnitude, it means human mathematics is nothing but a fragile, localized illusion. We proudly claim to understand the mechanical limits of reality, constructing vast encyclopedias of physical laws that supposedly govern how matter and energy are permitted to interact across all of space and time. The dark universe is clearly operating on an entirely different level of terrifying, untamed power that our current equations cannot even begin to describe. We are trapped on an insignificant rock, believing our telescopes have revealed the ultimate boundaries of existence, while the cosmos silently proves that the true laws of physics are infinitely more violent, completely undocumented, and profoundly indifferent to our calculations. If you want to see more videos like this, click the video on screen now and make sure to subscribe.